Hey third graders, today we're going to be doing 4-8 homework and remembering, doing some more clocks, and hopefully you just watched the video about a different way to say the time. Okay, this chart kind of shows it as well. It's a little bit blurry, but the video that you just watched, if I'm saying a time is straight up, I use o'clock. If it's on the 3, okay, like it is right here, normally we could say 15, but instead of saying that, we could say 3:15, okay? Right now, if you look at this clock right here, they've got the clock straight up at 12 o'clock, okay? But whenever you're doing your 5 count bys, instead of saying 15 right here, you could say 1/4 the hour, okay? Then down here, you can say 1/2 on the 6. And then when you get to the 9, you could say 1/4 the next hour, okay? It'll make better sense once we start doing it on the worksheet. But hopefully you watched the video and now you're ready to do 4-8. All right, so here we are on 4-8. We're going to zoom in a little bit. All right, just like the other day when I believe it was yesterday, we did our minutes before and minutes after. Okay, we're going to be doing that again. More review. All right, so we've got minutes after, if you could underline that, and minutes before. Now, they want us to write both of them for each one, but Mrs. Hagen's going to change the directions because it's hard to fit all the words for both of those on the line. Okay, so we're going to do minutes after on this one, minutes before on this one, minutes after on this one, minutes before on this one, minutes after on this one, and minutes before on this one. Write those in there and it'll make more sense once we start doing the writing, okay? All right, let's look at our first clock. What is the time? Well, I'm looking at my hour hand first and it's not quite to the 8. So I know that it's 7, okay? So I like to say 7. I'm going to write my time over here because it makes it a little easier. And then I'm going to do my minute hand. So I'm going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'm going to stop right there, okay? Because I can see that it's right before 35. It's 1 minute before 35, so it's 7:34. Okay, now remember we said we were going to write it the after way. So we're going to say the minutes after. So how many minutes after? So it's 34 minutes. We're going to use the same format every time. 34 minutes after, what's our hour hand? After 7. Okay? That's why to do both before and after on the lines, it gets a little crazy. So usually this is what we do every year is we cut you some slack and we have you just do every other. So that one was minutes after. Okay. Oops. All right, let's look at our next one. I like to write the time on the side first just because it's a little bit easier. Okay, like we did over here. So what is the time on the clock? Well, the hour hand is not quite to the 4, so I know it's 3. And then I'm going to check my minutes. And you know what? You're going to start to recognize, I see that it's on the 9. I could actually do a times problem and go 9 times 5 instead of counting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. You know, because you know your multiplication tables, that that's the same as 9 times 5. Okay, so time on the clock is 3:45. Okay, now remember, we are going to do minutes before on this one. So let me show you how that changes. So you're going to have a number, and then it's going to say minutes before this time. Remember on the first one we did minutes after. And then your other number right there. So let's talk, if it's minutes before the hour, let's talk about how we're going to say that. I need to look how many minutes are left before the next hour, okay? So if I count by fives, okay, I count by fives, how many minutes before the hour is there? 5, 10, so it's 15 minutes before. And what was my time? We were at 3 o'clock, so the next hour would be 4 o'clock. So it's 15 minutes before 4, okay? It's a little bit tricky. Another way to do that, and I like to, my class last year, I know like this. We all know there's 60 minutes in an hour, okay? So if I wanted to find out minutes before, I could take my 60 minutes and subtract the minutes that are here. So 60 take away 45, 0 take away 5. I can't do that, I borrow, that becomes a 5. 10 take away 5 is 5. 5 take away 4 is 1. I'm going to get that same 15 minutes that I got. Okay, so if it's easier for you to do a subtraction problem than to count the minutes like we did on the clock, either way is fine. Okay, because you know there's 60 minutes in the hour. So you can always take 60 and subtract this number right here, whatever number you have on your clock there. Okay, I just want to show you both ways. All right, now we're on to minutes after. First thing we do is we say the time on our clock. I look at my hour hand. It's in between the 2 and the 3, so it's not quite 2. So I'm going to say, excuse me, not quite 3. So I'm going to have 2. And then I'm going to count my minutes. I start up here again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And then I'm going to zoom in here so you can see 51, 52, 53. It's about right there. So it's 2:53 on the clock. Okay, now remember on this one we're doing minutes after. Okay, so we're going to have our line and then we're going to have minutes after, as we're switching every time. And we'll have a little blanks for our numbers. Okay, so let's look back at this first one that we did for minutes after. So if you're on a minutes after and you're kind of confused, look back at the ones that we did together. So for minutes after, okay, I need to look right here. How many minutes do I have? I have 53 minutes after, what's my hour? 2. Okay, you might like minutes after better because it's easy to look up at your clock and plug in the numbers. Do you see how I did that? I took my minutes for 53 and my hour for 2. So some kids will say they like minutes after is easier. Okay, all right, hang in there, guys. We're going to zoom in a little more on the next ones. Now we're on the minutes before. First thing we do is to say what time it is on the clock. Well, my hour hand is on the 12, okay? So I'm going to do 12 for my time. And then I'm going to check my minute hand, and I'm going to go 5, 10, 11, 12. All right, it's 12:12. Okay, now we're on the minutes before, so I can look right up here and see how we did that. I'm going to go blank minutes before. We're doing a little more together today, guys, because it's a little bit trickier. All right, so look at how we did this one up here. Remember, this is the one where we're subtracting the minutes from 60, isn't it? Okay. So we're doing 60. I like doing the subtraction problem. I'm going to take away my minutes minus 12, okay? And that's going to give me this number right here. So 60, take away 12, can't do 0, take away 2, borrow, that makes a 5 and a 10. 10 take away 2 is 8. 5 take away 1 is 4. So I know that it's going to be 48 minutes before, and then if you look up at the one that we did together, okay, you're going to take the hour after that. So 48 minutes before 1. Okay, it's 12:12 right now, so it's not quite 1. So it's 48 minutes before 1. Little tricky, isn't it, guys? Especially from a distance. So you're doing great. All right, let's look at our next time. See if you can maybe write the time before Mrs. Hagen. Look at your shorthand. Okay, did you say 1? Hopefully you did. All right, and then I have my minutes, so I'm going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. If you zoom in really closely, it's 26, 27. So it is 1:27 for our time. Now this is an after one. Okay, so I'm going to look, you can look up at the ones that we did already on number 1 and 3. Were also after ones, weren't they? All right, so let's put this down. We go minutes after. And once you have those lines in there, it makes it a little easier. All right, I feel like minutes after, you just look up and you say, what are my minutes? They're right there, they're 27. And then I look up to my hour, and it's 1. I think you might find that the minutes after are just a little bit easier, aren't they? All right, so we got another before one that we're going to do together. Okay. Let's write our time first. My hour hand is on the 4. All right, and then my minute hand, 5. And then if you zoom in real close, it's 6, 7, 8. So it is 4:08 on the clock. Okay, and we're doing the before one, right? So let's make our little chart down here. We got blank minutes before. All right, now this is the one where we subtract from 60, right? When you're doing the before ones. So let's take our 60 and subtract our minutes. And then we're going to get our number that needs to go right here, okay? Can't do 0, take away 8, borrow. 10 take away 8 is 2, and 5 take away 0 is 5. So it is 52 minutes before what? Hopefully you're writing it down. Before 5, okay? So it's always going to be the next hour. Like if it says 4 up here, you're going to be putting 5 for that number, okay? All right, so on your last ones that you have left, okay, for these 3. I know this is a long video, isn't it? So we are going to say that we are going to do minutes after for this one, before for this one, and after for this one. Okay, so I gave you 2 easier because the after ones are a little bit easier, right? But what I want you to do is I want you to write in the chart like I'm doing here. So minutes after, just write it down like I'm writing it. So when you get to filling in your numbers, it'll be easier. And then we're going to do minutes before. Okay. And the last one is minutes after. All right. I think you guys will be okay on those 3, right? And then on the back side, we don't have a ton to do, but we do have a couple. I'm going to be crossing out some things on the back. So if you want to pause the video and finish these up first, then meet me on the back side. Okay, here we are on the back side. So we are going to cross out 1 and 2. clocks because you guys have been hanging in there with me on the clocks. We'll cross those two out. Okay, we are going to do writing the time on the digital clock. I'm not going to make you do the lines down here. I'm only making you do the digital time. Stretch your thinking is extra credit. Okay, and you should be good to go on the story problems. Okay, I'm going to tell you on the story problem that 1 is times and 1 is plus, but I'm not going to tell you which is which. And then, of course, make sure that you are remembering to do your labels on those. Okay? Couple clues there for you guys. Windows and erasers. All right, hang in there. We got this, guys.